goes with today's Tuesday teaching tip in a series of introduction to Reader's Workshop lessons that I've been sharing with you over the last few weeks. All right, so today's lesson is on metacognition. Metacognition is a very fancy word for thinking about your thinking. When you have readers who are starting to move out of picture books and go into chapter books, it's probably a pretty good time to start this skill. You can start it earlier. You'll know your readers when they're ready for this skill. You'll see them developing as readers and thinkers, thinking about their reading, and you can integrate this earlier than chapter book stage even. The example I have here today is from a picture book. So, all right, so I'm going to get started with why we learn about metacognition, or why it's important to develop these skills. Metacognition, when we develop these skills, they help your students to think about, connect with, and evaluate their learning and their interactions each day. So this begins to make them think about their decisions, the things that they do. Metacognition has been identified as an essential skill for learner success because it unlocks the students' thinking and their awareness of why and how they make decisions, why and how they get a question right, why or how they get a question wrong, and they start to evaluate that and think, gosh, how did I get that wrong? I know this is what happened, and they go back and they reevaluate their decisions. And so this is a real important skill for them to learn. All right, so with that said, how do we get them to learn metacognition, thinking about their thinking with their reading? They do this a lot, they just don't realize it, and so you're just kind of bringing awareness to something that they're already doing as they're reading. All right, so as they're reading, you're first going to model this with a chapter book or a picture book. It might be a chapter book that you're reading. I chose this picture book, Enemy Pie, and so as I'm reading, especially at the beginning of this story, got to put my glasses on because I can't see anything. I have to find my glasses. Here they are. All right, so it should have been a perfect summer. My dad helped me build a tree house in our backyard. My sister was at camp for 3 whole weeks, and I was on the best baseball team in town. It should have been a perfect summer, but it wasn't. In my mind, I hear that dun 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 sound. And so I'm going to make a symbol for that, because that's one of those dun 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 dun. Now we call that foreshadowing when we get a little bit fancier. And so I'm trying to think, how can I do dun 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 dun? I'm going to do an ellipsis. And I'm going to draw a little bubble around it, because this is what's going on in my mind. So ellipsis is those three dots that you see in stories. And to me, whenever I see those 3 dots, I think, oh, something interesting is coming. And so I'm going to put that here. And I'll model for my students saying, I put this thought jot here because when I read this, I just know, dun 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 dun, something bad is about to happen. And so, or I could even do this. I predict, so I'm going to draw a clock, a real basic clock, and because it resembles time, so my prediction, I predict that something bad is going to happen to this kid. Now I'm going slowly through this because I'm modeling. When your students do this, you don't want them to work this slowly. And so I can either make a prediction, or I can say dun 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 dun, some foreshadowing, something bad's going to happen. I'm going to skip ahead because I don't want to ruin the story for you. And I'm going to go to this page here. Well, it's called Enemy Pie, and this kid's dad has a recipe to get rid of enemies. So it says, Dad understood stuff like enemies. He told me that when he was my age, he had enemies too, but he knew a way to get rid of them. I asked him to tell me how. So I put on here, So this kid's dad is going to get rid of his enemy. So when I was reading this for the first time, as a beginning reader or as an emerging reader, I thought, oh my goodness, this is a horrible story. Why would a story have a dad that's going to get rid of an enemy? And so in my mind, I had that, that just doesn't go in a children's story. And so that was my thought jot sticky note there. And then later on, Jeremy, don't eat it. It's bad pie. I think it's poisonous or something. So he really thought that his dad was going to poison his friend. Jeremy's fork stopped before reaching his mouth. He crumpled his eyebrows and looked at me funny. Whew, I felt relieved. I had saved his life. I was a hero. And so I put on here LOL because by this time I knew the dad wasn't going to poison his friend, but he really thought that he was a hero, and the way he's like really boasting. And so to me, I put LOL there because I thought that was pretty funny. All right, so that's just a quick example. When you introduce this skill to your students, to your children, you are going to model what metacognition looks like. So as you're reading, you're going to stop and you're going to jot something down really quickly. And so I have this, this is what I call our little poster for Thought Jots, our learning poster. This is something we're going to reference each time we do this. And when it becomes something your kids just have picked up and you do, then it's something you can take down. But in the meantime, this is something that they can reference. I used to keep this up all year because it grew all year. And so this is just something they can reference. And like I said, there are 5 thought jots here, but it grows. Your students will come up with more. And so you can just continue to add to it as they start growing as thinkers. When their metacognition skills become a little more advanced, you can add more to this. So that's the beginning lesson of metacognition. It goes on further, and there are things that you do with this to grow your readers as thinkers. There are the writing assignments that go along with it, and there are some more advanced metacognition lessons that you do with readers. But this is just kind of a taste of what one of my lessons, my beginning lesson for metacognition is. So like I said, if you like these lessons and you'd like to learn more about Reader's Workshop, how to grow your readers as thinkers, then you are welcome to sign up for a Reader's or Writer's Workshop with me on our webpage. And until then, happy reading.